Hello, and welcome to English in Fluency. My name is Alex, and I'm so happy you've chosen to spend some of your valuable time with me today. Wherever you might be right now, perhaps you're on a walk, enjoying the fresh air. Maybe you're sipping your first cup of coffee in the morning, or perhaps you're winding down at home after a long day. I want you to treat this as your personal time, a quiet space in your busy schedule to listen, to learn, and to think about an idea so fundamental it has the power to reshape the way you experience your life. Today, we are going to explore a hidden force within you, something that operates silently, powerfully, and continuously in the background of your every thought and action. We are talking about your subconscious mind. You've probably come across this term before. It's mentioned in books on psychology, in self-improvement seminars, and even in casual conversations about why we do the things we do. But what does it truly mean for you? For someone who is not only dedicated to improving their English skills, but also to growing as a person. The reality is this: your subconscious mind is like a silent, ever-present partner that never sleeps, never takes a break, and is always working. To understand it better, picture a vast, deep ocean. The surface of the water, with its visible waves and ripples, is your conscious mind. This is the part of your mind you are aware of right now, as you listen to my voice. It's the part that thinks, "I need to go to the store later." Or, "What does that word mean?" It's the logical, analytical part of you that makes plans and daily decisions. But beneath that surface lies the immense, dark, and powerful depth of the ocean. And that is your subconscious mind. It is far larger, far more influential, and it holds the currents that secretly guide the direction of your life. This deep part of your mind is in charge of your habits, your automatic emotional responses, your deepest fears, and even the intuitive feelings you get that seem to come from nowhere. It makes countless decisions for you every single day, without ever needing your permission. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to think about it honestly. Have you ever had a feeling that your thoughts, especially the quiet ones you repeat to yourself, seem to have a strange way of influencing what happens in your life? Perhaps you once had a deep-seated belief that something was simply too hard for you, and because of that belief, you never even gave it a real try. Or maybe, in a challenging moment, you told yourself with conviction, "I can get through this." And in that instant, you felt a surge of strength and clarity that you didn't have before. That wasn't just a random burst of motivation or a lucky moment. That was the direct result of your subconscious mind hearing your command and responding to it. It was aligning your inner energy with the instructions you provided. Consider this for a moment. Every single time you say to yourself, "I'm just not good at speaking English," or "I always get nervous in front of people," your subconscious mind is listening intently. It doesn't debate with you. It doesn't ask for evidence or question your judgment. It simply accepts these statements as commands, as absolute truth. Once accepted, it begins to operate from that truth, making you feel anxious when you have to speak, causing you to forget words, and creating a physical sensation of fear that confirms your original belief. On the flip side, when you start to feed it different thoughts, such as, "I am capable of learning," or, "With each attempt, I find a better way," your subconscious mind starts to work in your favor. It begins to highlight opportunities for you to practice. It gives you a feeling of calm determination, and it provides you with the resilience to continue even when you make mistakes. This is the fundamental reason why understanding and learning to communicate with your subconscious mind is one of the most important skills you can ever develop. This isn't about a superficial kind of positive thinking where you just ignore problems. It's about a deep, profound realization that the thoughts you consistently hold and emotionally charge, even the ones you think no one else hears, are the very blueprints that shape your confidence, your habits, your abilities, and ultimately the entire trajectory of your future. So, as you continue to listen today, I invite you to remain open and curious. Start to ask yourself, what are the quiet, underlying beliefs that are currently running my life? Are they empowering me and pushing me forward? Or are they silently holding me back in a prison of my own making? Let's now take a deeper dive to truly understand what the subconscious mind is. We hear the phrase often, but it can feel like an abstract or mystical concept. In reality, it's a very practical and fundamental part of your human experience. As we touched on, your mind can be seen as having two primary functions: the conscious and the subconscious. Your conscious mind is the part you identify with as you. It's the part that is thinking, reasoning, and experiencing the world right now. It's the voice in your head that might be saying, "This is interesting," or "I wonder where he's going with this." It's the part that learns new information logically, like studying grammar rules or memorizing vocabulary lists. It analyzes problems, sets goals, and makes deliberate choices based on the information it has. The subconscious mind, however, is a completely different world. It operates silently, beneath the surface of your awareness. Think of it like the complex operating system running on your computer or smartphone. You don't see the millions of lines of code working in the background, but that code is what allows you to open apps, connect to the internet, and perform every single function. Without that underlying system, the screen you look at would be useless. Your subconscious mind is your personal operating system. It manages an incredible number of tasks automatically, without any conscious effort from you. It ensures your heart continues to beat at the right rhythm. Your lungs keep breathing in and out. Your digestive system processes your food, and your body maintains its temperature. You don't have to wake up each morning and consciously command your heart to beat or your cells to repair themselves. It all just happens thanks to the tireless work of your subconscious, but its role extends far beyond just managing your physical body. The subconscious mind is also the vast storehouse for everything that has ever happened to you. It's where all your memories, your learned habits, your emotional triggers, and your deeply ingrained beliefs are kept. Think about the process of learning to ride a bicycle. When you first started, you had to consciously think about every single action. Hold the handlebars straight, push the pedal with your left foot, now the right foot, keep your balance, look ahead. It was a clumsy and difficult process that required all of your conscious focus. But after practicing over and over again, something incredible happened. The actions became automatic. You no longer had to think about pedaling or balancing. Your subconscious mind took over the program you had installed through repetition. Now, you can ride a bike, and have a conversation at the same time. Because the act of writing has been delegated to your automatic mind. Here is another powerful example of the subconscious at work. Imagine you're walking through a store, and you suddenly smell a perfume that your grandmother used to wear. Instantly, you might be flooded with a wave of warmth, emotion, and vivid memories of her. Memories you hadn't thought about in years. You didn't consciously decide to feel that way. Your subconscious mind made an instant connection between the scent and a vast network of stored memories and emotions, and it brought that feeling to the surface of your awareness in a fraction of a second. This is what makes the subconscious so incredibly powerful. It does not analyze or question the information you give it. It doesn't have a filter for truth or falsehood, or for helpful versus harmful. It is like a piece of fertile soil. It will grow whatever seed you plant in it. If you consistently plant seeds of self-criticism by telling yourself, "I am so awkward when I speak English," your subconscious mind accepts that as fact. It then works to make it your reality by making you feel more awkward, causing you to stumble over your words, and reinforcing the very belief you planted. However, if you consciously choose to plant a different seed, by repeating a thought like, "I am becoming more confident and fluent every day," your subconscious will begin to accept that new instruction. It will start to support that belief, giving you a greater sense of ease in conversations, helping you recall words more easily, and providing you with the inner motivation to continue your practice. Many great thinkers and psychologists, most notably Dr. Joseph Murphy, have described the subconscious as this fertile garden. The thoughts you think are the seeds. The emotions you attach to those thoughts are the water and sunlight that make them grow. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, and you water them daily with feelings of anxiety and worry, your life will inevitably produce a harvest of disappointment and struggle. But if you choose to plant seeds of confidence, belief, patience, and gratitude, and you nurture them with feelings of hope and expectation, you will eventually see a beautiful and abundant life grow from them. The most challenging part of this process is that most of us are completely unaware of the seeds we are planting on a daily basis. Our repetitive thoughts and core beliefs are often unconscious habits we formed in childhood, based on what our parents told us, what our teachers said, or what our culture taught us to believe. Perhaps a well-meaning relative once told you, "You're more of a numbers person, not a language person." That single comment, heard at a young age, could have been planted in your subconscious mind like a seed. Now, years later, every time you try to learn English, that old, limiting belief might sprout up from beneath the surface, creating a feeling of resistance and making the process feel much harder than it actually is. So, it's crucial to understand that the subconscious mind is not some mystical, magical force that is separate from you. It is a natural, functioning part of who you are, operating every second of every day. It is your most powerful and loyal assistant, working for you around the clock. The critical point is this: if you do not give this powerful assistant clear, positive, and direct instructions, it will simply continue to run the old programs it has been running for years. Even the programs that are outdated and no longer serve you. Just think about your day so far. How many of your actions were completely automatic? The way you brushed your teeth, the route you took if you went somewhere, the way you reacted when a driver cut you off in traffic, the words you used to greet a colleague. So much of our daily life is guided not by conscious choice, but by the automatic scripts running in our subconscious. And that is precisely why learning how to communicate with this hidden, powerful part of yourself is the key to unlocking meaningful and lasting change in every area of your life. One of the most influential books ever written on this subject is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Although this book was first published all the way back in 1963, its lessons are so fundamental to the human experience that they feel as relevant and powerful today as they did then. The reason for its timeless appeal is that it addresses a universal truth. Our inner world of thoughts and beliefs is the primary creative force behind our outer world of experiences and results. The central message of the book is wonderfully simple, yet incredibly profound. The thoughts and beliefs you hold in your mind, especially the ones you repeat with strong emotion day after day, are the very things that shape the fabric of your reality. Dr. Murphy frequently uses the beautiful analogy of a mind being like a garden. He explains that your conscious mind is the gardener. The gardener's job is to choose the seeds, to decide what to plant. Your subconscious mind is the garden itself, the rich, fertile soil that will grow any seed you plant within it, without judgment. Whatever seeds your conscious mind plants in the soil of your subconscious, whether they are seeds of success, health, and happiness, or seeds of failure, sickness, and fear, the soil will faithfully grow them to fruition. If you consistently plant seeds of fear about your financial future, you will find that your mind becomes hyper-aware of scarcity and problems, and you will feel a constant state of anxiety. But if you consciously choose to plant seeds of abundance, hope, and gratitude, you train your mind to notice opportunities and solutions, and your life will begin to reflect that new focus. One of the most transformative ideas in the book is that your subconscious mind does not argue with you or judge your choices. It simply accepts the conclusions of your conscious mind as final commands. It's like the soil. It doesn't care if you plant a beautiful rose or a poisonous weed. It will grow either one with equal dedication. If you repeatedly tell yourself, "I will never be able to speak English fluently," your subconscious mind takes that statement as a direct order. It then begins to subtly sabotage your efforts. It will make you feel tired when it's time to study. It will make you notice every mistake you make as proof of your inadequacy, and it will cause you to miss opportunities that could have accelerated your progress. Conversely, if you begin to impress upon it a new idea, such as, "I am steadily and surely learning this language step by step," your subconscious mind starts to look for ways to make that a reality. It will help you stay focused during your studies. It will give you a feeling of courage to initiate conversations, and it will help you see your mistakes as valuable learning experiences. Dr. Murphy emphasizes that two of the most effective methods for communicating with and directing your subconscious mind are visualization and affirmations. Visualization is the art of creating a vivid, detailed, and emotionally charged mental picture of what you want to achieve. For instance, if your goal is to feel confident and relaxed while speaking English, you would close your eyes and imagine yourself in that exact situation. You would see yourself in a conversation with native speakers. You would hear your own voice sounding clear, calm, and articulate. And most importantly, you would feel the emotions of pride, relief, and joy that would come with that success. Your subconscious mind responds powerfully to mental imagery, and it often cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. By repeatedly practicing this mental rehearsal, you are essentially pre-programming your mind and body to know how to act in that situation when it actually happens in real life. You are building new neural pathways for success before you even step into the real-world scenario. Affirmations are the verbal equivalent of visualization. They are simple, positive, and powerful statements that you repeat to yourself, either silently or out loud, until they become a natural part of your thinking. For example, instead of allowing the old thought, "My pronunciation is terrible," to run on a loop in your mind, you could intentionally replace it with a new affirmation, such as, "Every day, my pronunciation becomes clearer and more natural. I enjoy the process of speaking English." Dr. Murphy acknowledges that when you first start, these affirmations might feel awkward, or even like you're lying to yourself. That's a normal reaction from the conscious mind, which is used to the old, negative programming. But he stresses that repetition is the key to bypassing that conscious resistance. Just as a catchy song you hear on the radio every day eventually gets stuck in your head, these repeated positive statements will, over time, seep down into your subconscious mind and begin to form a new, more empowering belief system. A famous and powerful quote from the book encapsulates its entire philosophy. Change your thoughts, and you change your destiny. This is not just a poetic or motivational slogan. It is a description of a practical, workable process. If you allow your mind to spend most of its time dwelling on your problems, your weaknesses, and your fears, you will feel constantly stressed, overwhelmed, and powerless. But if you train yourself, through conscious effort, to focus your attention on solutions, on your strengths, and on possibilities, you begin to notice resources and opportunities that were invisible to you before. It's exactly like changing the lens on a camera. The world you are looking at remains the same, but your perception of it, what you choose to focus on, and how you feel about it can become completely different. Dr. Murphy also gives a strong warning about the danger of what he calls negative autosuggestions. These are the quiet, automatic, and often unnoticed negative phrases we say to ourselves throughout the day. Thoughts like, "I'm so unlucky," or "Things never work out for me," or "I'll never get better at this," act like destructive weeds in your mental garden. They can grow incredibly fast and can easily choke out the positive, healthy thoughts you are trying to cultivate. This is why a core part of his teaching is the practice of becoming a mindful observer of your own thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking a negative thought, you are instructed not to fight it or feel bad about it, but to simply notice it and gently replace it with a more constructive one. For example, if the thought, "I always fail when I try new things," pops into your head, you can immediately and consciously counter it with, "I am learning from every experience. Every attempt I make brings me closer to my goal." The foundational idea of this life-changing book is that your reality is a mirror reflecting your deepest, most habitual thoughts. Not the fleeting thoughts you have for a moment, but the core messages you tell yourself about who you are, what you are capable of, and what you deserve in life. These messages sink deep into the soil of your subconscious, and from there, they direct your emotions, influence your actions, and ultimately create your results. The book is not about wishing for a better life. It is a manual for building one, starting from the inside out. It's so easy to listen to these ideas about the power of the mind and feel inspired. But there is a crucial and sometimes uncomfortable truth we must all confront. In most cases, we are the ones who are creating and maintaining the limits in our own lives. We do it subtly, often unconsciously, and for many of us, it's a habit we've been practicing for our entire lives. Take a moment right now and think about this honestly. How many times have you stopped yourself from pursuing something before you even took the first step? How many times has a creative idea, a personal dream, or even a small achievable goal entered your mind, only to be immediately shut down by a quiet, persistent inner voice that whispers, "What if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if you're not smart enough or talented enough?" And instead of challenging that voice, instead of taking one small, courageous action, you allowed that thought to make the decision for you, and the opportunity was lost. One of the most common and powerful reasons we limit ourselves is chronic self-doubt. We constantly question our own abilities, our intelligence, and our worth, even in areas where we have previously been successful. For example, you may have a strong desire to improve your spoken English. You know it would open up new career opportunities or allow you to connect with more people. But then, the voice of self-doubt chimes in. It says, "You're not ready to speak with native speakers yet. Your accent is too strong. You'll just embarrass yourself." And so, instead of seeking out a conversation partner or joining a language exchange group, you decide to wait. You tell yourself you'll do it when you're better. But that day never seems to arrive. Your subconscious mind hears your hesitation and accepts it as a command to avoid the perceived danger. Soon, this avoidance becomes an automatic habit, and you find yourself trapped in a cycle where you avoid the very practice that would help you grow. Another insidious block that holds so many people back is perfectionism. On the surface, it sounds like a positive trait. We tell ourselves, if I can't do it perfectly, then I shouldn't do it at all. We believe we are holding ourselves to a high standard. But more often than not, perfectionism is simply a mask for a deep-seated fear of failure and criticism. Instead of embracing the learning process, which involves taking small, imperfect steps, making mistakes, and gradually improving, we wait for an imaginary, perfect moment. We wait for the day when we will feel completely confident, when we know all the answers, and when we are fully prepared for any possible outcome. The tragic problem is that this perfect moment never, ever comes. Life is inherently imperfect, and learning is a messy process. By waiting for perfection, we end up doing nothing at all, and our potential remains locked away inside us. And then we have the raw, powerful fear of failure itself. Our society often teaches us to view failure as a definitive statement about our worth. We imagine that if we fail at something, it means we are fundamentally flawed, incapable, or not good enough as a person. But I want you to think about the people you admire most in this world. Groundbreaking scientists, brilliant artists, elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, or even just people in your own life who seem to speak English so fluently and effortlessly. Do you honestly believe they reached that level of mastery without ever making a mistake? Of course not. The truth is, they probably failed more times than most people have even tried. The crucial difference is that they did not allow their failures to define them. They viewed failure not as an end point, but as essential feedback. They saw it as data that showed them what wasn't working, so they could adjust their approach and try again. They understood that failure was not proof that they should stop, but rather an integral part of the path to success. So let me ask you another question. What do you think is worse? Trying something you care about and potentially failing, or never trying at all and spending the rest of your life wondering, what if? So many of us choose to live with the quiet, nagging pain of the second type of regret. We avoid taking risks because we are terrified of the short-term sting of failure. But we completely forget that the decision to not try also comes with a heavy price. It keeps us stuck in our comfort zones. It keeps our subconscious mind programmed with the same old limiting beliefs, the same tired "I can't" messages, year after year. It's also important to recognize that many of these limiting beliefs didn't even originate with us. They were often absorbed from our environment, from experiences we had when we were young and impressionable. Maybe a teacher once corrected your grammar in front of the whole class, and you felt a deep sense of shame. Maybe a parent, trying to be protective, told you, "You're not the kind of person who is good at public speaking." These words, and the emotions attached to them, can sink deep into the subconscious, and decades later, you might still be living your life according to those old, unexamined rules. But here is the wonderfully hopeful news. These old limits are not permanent fixtures of your personality. They are simply learned patterns of thought and behavior. And if your subconscious mind was able to learn them once, it is absolutely capable of learning new, more empowering ones. You can consciously teach it that making mistakes is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of courage and growth. You can teach it that taking one small step forward is infinitely more powerful than waiting for the perfect conditions. And you can teach it that the act of trying, even when it feels scary and uncertain, is always, always better than the alternative of doing nothing at all. So, as you continue to listen, I want you to ask yourself, what is one thing you would do if you knew you could not fail? What is one goal you have been holding back on because you've convinced yourself that you're not ready, not skilled enough, or just not good enough? The truth is, you are probably more than ready to take at least one small, manageable step. And that single step could be the beginning of dismantling a fear that has held you back for far too long. Now that we've explored the inner workings of the subconscious mind and the limiting beliefs that often hold us captive, let's shift our focus to the most practical and empowering part of our conversation. How exactly can you begin to reprogram your subconscious mind so that it starts working for you, as a powerful ally, instead of against you, as a silent saboteur? The wonderful news is that this process doesn't require any complex or mysterious rituals. It simply requires you to consciously and consistently provide your subconscious with new, better instructions over and over again, until these new instructions become more dominant and more automatic than the old ones. This reprogramming process relies on three primary tools: daily affirmations, consistent visualization, and unwavering consistency. Let's begin with the practice of daily affirmations. In simple terms, affirmations are short, positive, and powerful sentences that you deliberately repeat to yourself on a regular basis. It's crucial to understand that these are not just feel-good phrases meant to give you a temporary boost. They are a precise tool for feeding your subconscious mind with a new set of beliefs. For instance, if you have spent years silently telling yourself a story like, "I am terrible at speaking in public," your subconscious mind has almost certainly accepted that story as a core truth about you. To change this, you can begin to introduce a new, competing story. You could start repeating an affirmation like, "I am improving my public speaking skills every day. I can communicate my ideas clearly, and I am becoming more confident with every opportunity I get." Now, when you first start doing this, your conscious, logical mind might immediately object. It might say, "That's not true yet. You were nervous just yesterday." That is a completely normal reaction. The key to effective affirmations is to understand that you are not stating a current fact. You are stating your desired reality. You are declaring what you are in the process of becoming. With enough consistent repetition, your subconscious mind, which learns through habit, will begin to accept these new statements as its new reality, and you will find yourself starting to act in ways that align with this newfound confidence. The second powerful tool is the practice of visualization exercises. This involves using the incredible power of your imagination to create clear, detailed, and emotionally rich mental movies of the success you desire. Let's stay with the example of being afraid of public speaking. You would find a quiet place, close your eyes, and begin to imagine yourself standing in front of an audience. But you wouldn't just see a vague image. You would make it as real as possible. You would picture yourself breathing slowly and deeply, feeling a sense of calm in your body. You would see the friendly faces in the audience, smiling and nodding as they listen to you. You would hear your own voice, sounding steady, clear, and confident. Most importantly, you would intentionally generate the feelings of success, the feeling of relief, the pride in a job well done, the warmth of appreciation from the audience. Your subconscious mind does not make a clear distinction between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Therefore, by repeatedly visualizing your success, you are effectively training your mind and nervous system to behave as if this success is not only possible, but expected. This is a technique used by top performers in every field, from Olympic athletes to world-class musicians to leading surgeons, because they understand that mental preparation is just as critical as physical practice. However, and this is perhaps the most important point of all, these profound changes do not happen overnight. Your subconscious mind has learned its current patterns and beliefs over many years, sometimes even decades of reinforcement. That is why the third and most essential key to this entire process is consistency, valued far above intensity. Think of it like getting physically fit. You wouldn't go to the gym for one intense 8-hour workout and expect to be in perfect shape the next day. But if you were to do a small, manageable workout consistently every single day, your body would gradually and inevitably transform over time. The same exact principle applies to your mind. Spending just a few minutes each day practicing your affirmations and visualizing your goals is infinitely more powerful and effective than trying to force a massive change in a single heroic effort over a weekend. Let's bring this to life with a story. Imagine a man named Leo. He's incredibly intelligent and works hard, but he has a deep-seated fear of job interviews. Every time he even thinks about an interview, he is flooded with negative self-talk. You're going to forget the answers. They'll see that you're a fraud. Everyone else is more qualified than you are. This fear has caused him to underperform in interviews for years, reinforcing his belief that he's just not good at them. One day, Leo decides he has had enough and commits to trying to reprogram his subconscious. Every single morning, before getting out of bed, he spends just 2 minutes repeating the affirmation, "I am calm, confident, and articulate in interviews. I enjoy sharing my skills and experiences." Then, every evening before he falls asleep, he closes his eyes for 5 minutes and visualizes an interview going perfectly. He sees himself smiling, shaking hands firmly, answering questions with ease, and receiving a job offer. In his mind, he feels the excitement and relief. At first, the practice feels silly and artificial, but he trusts the process and sticks with it every single day. After several weeks, a new job opportunity comes up. As he prepares for the interview, he still feels some nervousness, but something is different. A new, quieter voice is also present, a voice that says, "You can handle this. You have prepared for this moment." He goes to the interview, and while it isn't flawless, it is significantly better than any interview he has had before. He gets the job. That small success validates his new belief, which makes him even more confident for the future. This is the essence of how reprogramming works. It is not an instant magic trick. It is a slow, steady, and powerful process of changing the way you see yourself from the inside out. And once your internal self-image begins to change, your external actions and results will inevitably change to match it. So, now that we have a solid understanding of the subconscious mind and the tools to reprogram it, let's delve into something that is deeply personal and profoundly impactful: your beliefs. I'm not talking about casual opinions, like whether a certain movie is good or not. I'm talking about the quiet, foundational, and often unexamined beliefs you hold about yourself, about others, and about the world. Because here is a fundamental truth of human existence. The beliefs you hold in the deepest parts of your mind shape your reality more powerfully than your circumstances, your education, or almost any other external factor. Let's explore this with a very clear example. Imagine a person who has a core belief that they are fundamentally bad with money. Perhaps they grew up in a family where there was always financial struggle. Maybe they heard their parents arguing about bills, or were told things like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "Rich people are greedy." Over time, these external messages were internalized and became a solid, unconscious belief. Now, as an adult, this person might consciously want to become wealthy and financially secure. They might even read books on investing. But their underlying belief system will constantly work against them. They might find themselves making impulsive purchases, avoiding looking at their bank statements, or feeling intense anxiety whenever they think about investing, causing them to procrastinate. If they do get a bonus at work, they might quickly find a way to spend it all, because on a subconscious level, having extra money feels unfamiliar and unsafe. Then, when their bank account is low again, Their subconscious whispers, "See? I told you. You're just bad with money." This is the perfect illustration of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a cycle where your belief about a situation directly influences your behavior, and that behavior then causes the exact outcome you believed would happen, which in turn reinforces your original belief. You literally live out the story you continuously tell yourself. But let's look at the other side of this powerful coin. Now, imagine a different person who cultivates a belief that they are a capable and responsible manager of money. They don't necessarily believe they are a financial genius, but they trust in their ability to learn and improve. When they make a financial mistake, instead of hearing a voice that says, "I'm so stupid," they hear a voice that says, "That was a valuable lesson. I won't make that mistake again." This empowering belief influences their behavior in a positive way. It encourages them to track their spending, to seek out financial education, to start investing even small amounts, and to view challenges as opportunities to learn. Over time, their financial situation steadily improves, not because they were born with a special money gene, but because they consistently showed up with a belief that supported positive actions. Eventually, their belief becomes their tangible reality. I once worked with a student, let's call her Maya, who was absolutely terrified of making mistakes when speaking English. She had moved to an English-speaking country and had a good job, but she would avoid speaking in meetings and would let her colleagues do all the talking. She told me, "I just freeze. I feel like my mind goes completely blank, and I feel so small and stupid." As we began to explore the roots of this fear, we discovered that she had grown up with a very strict and critical father who would correct every small mistake she made. This created a deep-seated belief that making a mistake was a sign of personal failure and would lead to judgment and disapproval. No one had ever explicitly told her this, but years of small, painful experiences had created a powerful belief that had taken root deep in her subconscious. The first step in her transformation was simply becoming aware of this belief. Once she could see it for what it was, an old, outdated story, she could begin to consciously challenge it. She didn't start by trying to give a major presentation. The steps were much smaller. She committed to asking one question in a team meeting each week. She practiced making small talk with the barista at the coffee shop. She made phone calls to book appointments instead of doing it online. And with each small act of courage, she was sending a new message to her subconscious. After a few months of this consistent practice, she told me something amazing. She said, "I don't feel like I have to be perfect anymore. I still make mistakes, but they don't stop me from speaking. I realized my voice actually matters." Her incredible progress didn't begin with learning a new grammar tense. It began with changing a single, limiting belief. This principle applies to every single area of your life: your career, your health, your relationships, your personal growth. What do you secretly believe about your own potential in each of these areas? Are those beliefs acting as a powerful tailwind, pushing you forward, or are they a heavy anchor, holding you in place? Now, I want to be very clear. I am not suggesting that simply thinking positive thoughts will magically solve all of life's problems. Life is complex, and there are real, tangible challenges in the world. But what I am saying is this: your beliefs are the filter through which you interpret and experience every single event in your life. If that filter is smudged with self-doubt and negativity, even a world full of sunshine and opportunity will appear dark and threatening. So, I invite you to take a moment with me right now. Just pause. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it out. Now, ask yourself, what is one limiting belief about myself that I have been carrying for years that might not actually be true anymore? Perhaps it's a belief like, I'm not a creative person, or I'll never be truly confident, or people won't respect me if I show my true self. Try to trace that belief back to its origin. Where did it come from? Did you consciously choose to believe it? Or did it just accumulate over time without your permission? You see, we are all carrying around a collection of old stories. Some of these stories we wrote ourselves, and some were written for us by others. But the beautiful and liberating thing about stories is that they can be rewritten. The very moment you begin to question your long-held beliefs, to examine them with curiosity and kindness instead of judgment, is the moment you reclaim your power to write a new ending. As Dr. Joseph Murphy so wisely taught, your subconscious mind will accept whatever you believe on the deepest level. If you feed it a steady diet of fear, it will produce a life filled with fear. If you feed it a steady diet of faith and possibility, it will produce a life of courage and growth. This doesn't mean you ignore your problems. It means you choose to approach them from a new perspective, with a sense of curiosity, with a feeling of hope, and with the foundational belief that change is always possible, and that you are never, ever truly stuck. We've talked quite a bit about the theories and techniques like affirmations and visualization, but sometimes the best way to truly grasp the potential of these ideas is to see how they have played out in the lives of real people. Hearing the stories of others who have successfully used the power of their subconscious mind can make these concepts feel less abstract and more achievable for you in your own life. One of the most famous and compelling examples comes from the world of professional sports. I'm sure you've heard of the legendary boxer, Muhammad Ali. His greatness was not just a result of his physical strength and speed. He was, perhaps more than anything, a master of the mental game. Long before he ever won a world championship, long before the world knew his name, Ali was constantly and boldly telling himself, and anyone who would listen, "I am the greatest." To many people at the time, this sounded like pure arrogance, like unrealistic boasting. But for Ali, this was not just a performance for the cameras. It was a core part of his mental training. It was a powerful affirmation that he was using to program his subconscious mind for victory. By repeating that phrase with unwavering conviction, day in and day out, he began to believe it on the deepest possible level. This profound self-belief then fueled his actions. It gave him the superhuman drive to train harder than his opponents, the resilience to push through immense pain and exhaustion, and the unshakable confidence to step into the boxing ring already feeling like a champion. His inner world of belief directly shaped his outer world of action, and his actions ultimately created his legendary success. Another inspiring example comes from the world of entertainment, with the story of the actor and comedian Jim Carrey. Before he became a household name, he was a struggling artist, facing significant financial hardship. During this difficult period, he would regularly drive his old car up to a scenic spot in the Hollywood Hills that overlook the city. He would park his car, look out over the studios below, and practice intense visualization. He would vividly imagine himself as a successful and respected actor, receiving offers for major film roles. He went so far as to take out a piece of paper and write himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered. He post-dated the check for a few years in the future and kept it in his wallet as a tangible reminder of the reality he was committed to creating. At that moment, his reality was one of struggle, but his mind was focused on his vision. He kept working on his craft, going to auditions, and holding on to the belief that his vision was on its way. Incredibly, years later, just before the date he had written on the check, he signed a movie contract that earned him $10 million. These stories can seem almost unbelievable, but they are not about some mystical force of magic. They are demonstrations of how incredibly powerful a focused and disciplined mind can be when you consistently feed it with positive, emotionally charged images and beliefs. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between something that is happening in the external world right now and something that is happening vividly in your imagination. It simply responds to the dominant messages it receives. That is the secret behind the power of visualization and affirmations. Now, it's important to remember that you don't need to be a future world champion or a famous movie star to apply these same principles. Let's bring this down to a more personal and relatable level. Take a moment to think about your own life. Can you recall a time when a simple shift in your mindset or belief helped you to achieve something you thought was difficult? Maybe you were once convinced that you would never be able to understand a complex grammar concept in English. But then you decided to change your approach. You told yourself, I can figure this out if I break it down into smaller pieces. And you kept practicing. And then one day it suddenly clicked and started to make sense. Or perhaps you were extremely nervous about speaking to a native English speaker for the first time. But right before the conversation, you took a deep breath and told yourself, it's okay if I make a few mistakes. The goal is just to communicate and connect. And because you gave yourself that permission to be imperfect, you were more relaxed, and the conversation flowed much better than you ever expected. Your subconscious mind was an active participant in those moments. When you fed it a small seed of belief that you could do something, it responded by changing your emotional state and influencing your actions. You became more persistent. You didn't give up as quickly. And because you acted differently, you created a new, more positive result. This is precisely why it is so crucial to celebrate your small victories along your journey. Each small win is tangible proof that your mind is responding to the new, positive instructions you are giving it. Every single positive belief you choose to practice is like planting a tiny seed. At first, you might not see any changes on the surface, but with consistent nurturing over time, that tiny seed can grow into something immense and powerful. A new empowering habit, a new level of unshakable confidence, or even a completely new and exciting direction for your life. Now that we've explored the what and the why of the subconscious mind, let's get very practical and focus on the how. It's one thing to understand a theory intellectually, but it's another thing entirely to integrate it into your life as a simple, sustainable habit. The best part is that reprogramming your subconscious mind doesn't require you to set aside hours of your day. In fact, some of the most profound and effective practices are incredibly short, easy to do, and can be seamlessly woven into your existing daily routine. One of the most potent times to communicate with and influence your subconscious mind is in the moments right before you fall asleep. In this transitional state, as you drift from wakefulness to sleep, your conscious mind, with all its worries and analyses, begins to quiet down. This makes your subconscious mind much more receptive to suggestions. This is the perfect window of opportunity to plant a positive seed. Instead of letting your mind replay the mistakes or worries of the day, I want you to try this simple practice. As you lie in bed, close your eyes, take a few slow, deep breaths, and gently repeat a comforting and encouraging thought to yourself. It could be something like, "I am learning and growing every single day." Or perhaps, "Tomorrow is a new day, and I will wake up feeling calm, refreshed, and ready." It might seem almost too simple to be effective, but the final thoughts you impress upon your mind before you sleep are like the final instructions you give your loyal assistant for its work during the night. The same principle holds true for the first few moments after you wake up. Before you reach for your phone, before your mind starts racing with the to-do list for the day, take just 30 to 60 seconds for yourself. Lie there and visualize your day unfolding in a positive way. Imagine yourself moving through your tasks with a sense of ease and confidence. See yourself handling conversations, including those in English, with clarity and calm. Feel the sense of accomplishment and peace that comes with that vision. Starting your day in this intentional way does more than just put you in a good mood. It actively programs your subconscious mind with the kind of energy, focus, and emotional state you want to embody throughout the day. Another small but incredibly powerful practice is to speak your affirmations out loud. Yes, actually use your physical voice, not just your inner voice. There is something transformative about hearing yourself say these positive words. For example, you could stand in front of a mirror in the morning, look yourself directly in the eye, and say with conviction, "I am a confident and capable person. I communicate my thoughts clearly and effectively. I am able to handle any new situation that comes my way." Speaking the words aloud makes them feel more real and substantial. It adds another sensory layer to the experience. And for you as an English learner, this practice has a wonderful dual benefit. You are not only training your mind to adopt a new belief, but you are also actively practicing your pronunciation, your intonation, your rhythm, and your overall fluency. You are building both your inner confidence and your outer communication skills at the same time. The real secret to making all of this work is consistency. I cannot stress this enough. These individual practices might feel too small or too easy to make a real difference. But you must remember that your subconscious mind learns and changes primarily through repetition. Thinking one encouraging thought before bed, one time, will not change your life. But doing it every single night for a week, and then for a month, and then for 3 months. That is how you slowly and surely overwrite old, negative mental patterns and replace them with new, supportive ones. Think of it like watering a plant. One single drop of water will have no noticeable effect. But giving it a little bit of water every single day is what will allow that plant to grow deep roots and become strong and healthy. Your mind operates in exactly the same way. The brief, consistent moments you intentionally dedicate to guiding your thoughts will, over time, build a more resilient, focused, and confident version of yourself. As powerful and promising as these techniques are, many people who try to work with their subconscious mind become frustrated when they don't see the results they were hoping for. This is rarely because the principles themselves don't work, but rather because people fall into a few very common traps. Understanding these mistakes and learning how to avoid them can be the difference between giving up in frustration and achieving a real breakthrough in your habits and beliefs. The first and most common mistake is that people simply quit too soon. When they first start practicing affirmations or visualization, they are often filled with excitement and expect to see dramatic, fast results. They might think, "I've been repeating this affirmation for 3 whole days. Why isn't my life completely different yet?" But as we've discussed, the subconscious mind does not operate on that kind of timeline. You have to remember that your current negative thoughts, self-doubts, and limiting habits have been practiced and reinforced for years, perhaps your entire life. It will naturally take some time for the new, positive patterns to become strong enough to override the old ones. Imagine you decide to plant a new garden in a field that is overgrown with weeds. You can't just throw a few new seeds on the ground and expect a beautiful garden to appear tomorrow. You have to consistently pull the weeds and water the new seeds day after day. If you stop the process after just a few days because you don't see a full-grown tree, you are abandoning your efforts right before the real growth begins to happen. Patience and gentle, persistent consistency are absolutely essential. Another major mistake people make is that they focus exclusively on the mental work of affirmations and visualization, and they forget the critical importance of taking action. Affirmations are incredibly powerful tools for changing your mindset, but they are not magic spells. You cannot simply sit on your sofa repeating, "I am a confident English speaker," 100 times a day, and then expect to wake up one morning with perfect fluency if you never actually practice speaking. Your subconscious mind needs new real-world experiences to solidify the new beliefs you are trying to install. When you affirm that you are becoming more confident, your subconscious will start to support you by reducing your anxiety. But it needs you to take the next step. You have to actually go out and have a conversation. Affirmations open the door to possibility, but it is your action that walks you through that door and creates a new reality. If your goal is to speak English better, your affirmations must be paired with the practical work of speaking, listening, reading, and actively engaging with the language. The third common mistake is that people unknowingly sabotage their own efforts by continuing their old negative habits for the other 23 hours of the day. For instance, someone might diligently spend 5 minutes every morning repeating positive affirmations, but then spend the rest of their day complaining to their colleagues, criticizing themselves for every small mistake, and mentally rehearsing all the things that could possibly go wrong. This sends completely contradictory messages to the subconscious mind. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot pressed firmly on the accelerator and the other foot pressed just as firmly on the brake. You will burn a lot of energy, but you won't get very far. To avoid this, you must cultivate a greater sense of mindfulness about the small thoughts and casual words you use throughout your entire day. Each time you catch yourself thinking or saying something negative like, "I can't do this," you don't need to scold yourself. Just gently pause and consciously replace it with a more empowering thought, such as, "I am figuring out how to do this," or "I am learning as I go." It might feel tedious and repetitive at first, but every single one of these small corrections is like pulling one weed from your mental garden. It weakens the old negative pattern and strengthens the new positive one. Avoiding these common mistakes doesn't mean you have to become a perfect, flawless, positive thinker. That's an impossible and exhausting standard. You don't need to control every single thought or force yourself to feel happy all the time. Instead, the goal is to be more consistent, more patient, and more aware. Keep planting your positive seeds every single day, even for just a minute or two. Take small, manageable actions that are aligned with your goals, and gently notice when the old, unhelpful habits show up, so you can lovingly redirect your mind toward a better path. Over time, with this gentle and consistent approach, your subconscious mind will begin to respond to your new programming, and you will start to see profound changes, not just in the way you think, but in the way you feel, the way you act, and in the wonderful results you begin to create in your life. We have journeyed through a great deal of information in our time together today, and before we conclude, let's take a moment to bring all these powerful ideas together. We began our conversation by demystifying the subconscious mind, understanding it not as some strange force, but as a powerful, practical part of you that works silently in the background, shaping your automatic habits, your emotional reactions, and even the very opportunities you are able to perceive in your life. We then explored the timeless wisdom of Dr. Joseph Murphy, whose core ideas teach us that our mind is like a garden, and that the thoughts we consistently plant within it will inevitably grow into the reality we experience. We learned that through the focused practices of visualization, affirmations, and unwavering consistency, we can begin to consciously guide our subconscious mind, turning it into our greatest ally for success and happiness. We also took an honest look at the common reasons why we so often limit ourselves: the persistent voices of self-doubt, the paralyzing trap of perfectionism, and the deep-seated fear of failure. And most importantly, we discussed simple, actionable ways to begin reprogramming your mind by using daily affirmations, vividly visualizing your desired outcomes, and committing to small, steady actions instead of waiting for a sudden, miraculous transformation. We drew inspiration from the real-life stories of people who successfully turned their inner beliefs into powerful tools for creating extraordinary results. We even practiced thinking about how to integrate these concepts into tiny daily routines, like planting one encouraging thought in your mind before you sleep, or picturing a positive and successful day as soon as you wake up in the morning. Now, as we prepare to part ways, I want to leave you with one final, reflective question. What is one single belief about yourself that you know, deep down, you need to begin changing today? Maybe it's the lingering thought that you're not smart enough to achieve your goals. Perhaps it's the persistent story that you'll never be able to speak English as fluently as you dream of. Or maybe it's the quiet, sad belief that it's simply too late for you to start something new and exciting. I want you to ask yourself with total honesty, is that belief serving you? Is it helping you? Or is it holding you back? And if you know it is holding you back, what new, more empowering belief could you choose to start practicing instead? Please remember, you do not need to overwhelm yourself by trying to change everything all at once. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Start small. Choose one simple, positive statement about yourself and commit to repeating it with feeling every single day. Take a few minutes to imagine yourself already living as if that new, empowering belief were completely true. Give your subconscious mind the time and the grace it needs to learn this new message, just as it once learned the old, limiting one. I would love for you to put these practices into action over the coming week. Pay close attention to what happens, both internally and externally, when you intentionally change even a few of your most common daily thoughts. And if you feel comfortable doing so, please share your experience with our community. Leave a comment below this video and tell me, what is the one belief you are working on changing? Your story could be the very thing that inspires and encourages someone else who is listening right now and struggling with the exact same challenge. Thank you so much for investing this time in yourself and for allowing me to be your guide here on English in Fluency. Always remember, improving your English language skills is a worthy and important goal, but growing your mindset, cultivating a belief in your own potential, is just as powerful. When you combine these two journeys, you can open doors to opportunities you may not even be able to see yet. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep planting those positive seeds in the beautiful garden of your mind. I truly hope to see you in our next episode, where we will continue to explore ideas that help you not only to master the English language, but also to build a stronger, happier, and more confident version of yourself. Until then, take wonderful care. Continue to speak kindly to yourself, and never, ever forget that you are capable of achieving so much more than you currently believe. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next step on this journey together.